David gets the calendar invite on a Tuesday morning.
Quarterly budget planning, 3 weeks out.
His manager mentions it in passing during their one-on-one. Just so you know, I'll be fighting for your raise in the Q3 planning sessions. David feels good about this. He's been exceeding targets for 8 months. What David doesn't know is that his manager stopped fighting for individual raises 2 years ago. The real budget decisions happen in a different meeting, one that occurred 6 weeks earlier, where headcount allocations were set, and his department's total compensation pool was locked at a 2.8% increase. His manager will attend the meeting David knows about, will advocate loudly, and will report back that he tried his best. None of this is dishonest. The meeting David knows about is real. It just doesn't control what David thinks it controls. Number 1, the 2 budget conversations. Every organization runs 2 parallel budget processes. The first is resource allocation, which happens at the executive level between 4 and 8 weeks before anyone tells middle management. This is where actual money gets divided. How much total compensation the engineering department gets versus sales versus operations. The decisions are made using headcount models and departmental P&L targets. A VP walks into this meeting knowing she has $4.2 million in total comp for her org, and walks out knowing she'll have $4.4 million next quarter. The second process is the one employees see: the performance review cycle, the calibration sessions, the individual raise discussions. This process doesn't determine how much money exists. It determines how the already determined money gets distributed among individuals. Your manager enters those conversations with a fixed pool. When he says he's fighting for your raise, he means he's fighting for a larger slice of an amount that was set before you submitted your self-review. The pool itself was decided in a meeting where your name was never mentioned, where you existed only as a headcount unit, with a fully loaded cost. Number 2, why managers maintain the fiction. The asymmetry is structural, not personal. A manager who explains the real sequence faces 3 problems. First, it eliminates the performance incentive. If employees understand that individual raises are drawn from a fixed departmental pool set months earlier, high performers realize their extra effort doesn't increase the total available money. It just changes how existing money gets split. Second, it exposes the manager's actual leverage, which in most organizations is limited to redistribution. A manager who admits he can't increase the pool, only divide it, loses negotiating position. Employees start asking why the pool is that size, which is a question the manager can't answer because he wasn't in the room when it was set. Third, it creates pressure to disclose. Once employees know about the upstream budget process, they want details. How much is in the pool? What percentage went to other team members? What were the departmental targets? These are numbers managers are explicitly instructed not to share. The information asymmetry isn't accidental. It's load-bearing. The system functions because employees believe individual performance directly drives individual compensation, when the actual mechanism is individual performance drives relative position within a predetermined distribution. Number 3, the compounding cost of not knowing. This structure has a predictable effect on employee behavior. High performers who don't understand the system optimize for visibility within their team. They work longer hours. They exceed their metrics. They wait for their manager to notice and reward them through the official process. High performers who do understand the system optimize for changing their position in the upstream conversation. They don't wait for review cycles. They get job offers from other companies, which forces their manager to request a retention case, which goes to the people who set the pool. Or they transfer to departments where the pool setting conversation values their skill set more highly. Or they get promoted, which moves them into a different compensation band with a different pool. The difference in outcomes is measurable. Internal data from a 2019 compensation study at a Fortune 500 tech company showed that employees who changed roles or received competing offers saw compensation increases averaging 12.4% annually. Employees who stayed in the same role and relied on performance reviews averaged 3.1% annually. Over a 5-year period, that's the difference between a $120,000 salary becoming $216,000 versus $143,000. The gap exists because one group is operating on accurate information about how the system actually processes compensation decisions, and the other group is operating on what they've been told about how it works. Number 4, what the real budget actually funds. The budget meeting your manager attends isn't about merit or performance. It's about managing a constraint. The constraint is the total compensation pool that was set upstream. And the problem is how to distribute it in a way that retains critical employees, maintains the appearance of meritocracy, and doesn't create fairness complaints that reach HR. This is why the conversation is about calibration and ranking. Your manager comes with a stack rank of his team. Other managers come with their stack ranks. They compare notes and adjust until the distribution fits the pool. When your manager says he fought for you, what happened was he ranked you higher than someone else, which meant that person got a smaller increase so you could get a larger one. The total didn't change. The meeting has no mechanism for changing the total. That number came from a spreadsheet built by finance based on revenue targets and margin requirements. Your manager saw that spreadsheet after it was final. The real budget, the one that actually controls outcomes, is funded by projected revenue growth, adjusted for market conditions and investor expectations. Individual performance determines relative position within that budget. It doesn't determine the budget's size. This is why your manager never mentions the real budget. He doesn't control it. He controls how it gets split. And the system works better when employees don't know the difference. Number 5. The question you're not asking. David still works at the same company. He still exceeds his targets. He still gets positive feedback in his one-on-ones. He received a 3.5% raise last quarter, which his manager described as highly competitive given the budget constraints. What David now understands is that his manager's constraint isn't David's constraint. His manager is constrained by the pool that was allocated to the department. David is constrained by the pool only if he chooses to be. The employees who understand this don't ask their managers for raises during review cycles. They manufacture the conditions that force an upstream budget conversation. They get the competing offer. They apply for the role in the higher value department. They document the work that makes them retention critical, and then create retention risk. They operate in the actual system, not the described system. The question isn't whether your manager is fighting for you in budget meetings. The question is whether you're still optimizing for a meeting that doesn't control what you think it controls.